Hi, it's Nicola and welcome. Today I have a book review for you. It's journalist Stephanie Wood's Fake by Penguin Random House. Today's show is sponsored by the Structure Success Training, and I'll have more about that in a minute. But first, a recap. If you're new, Forever Young Autobiographies is the place to learn how to write life stories for family and friends so that unique memories will live on. And it'd be terrific if you could follow, subscribe and like the show. Now, first up, we have the pandemic coronavirus happening at the moment, and I just wanted to start the show by saying, look, if you or your loved ones have been affected by the virus, then I'm really thinking of you. Myself and my family are really thinking of you at this time. We're hoping that, we're supporting one another, we're not panicking, and we're contacting especially our elderly neighbours and relatives by phone, making sure that they're all right. Myself and my family, we're still all good here in Australia, and I'm maintaining to keep up my website and keep going with the show today. So let's just jump straight in, shall we? Now, Fake came out last year under Vintage Australia, and it's a tale of love, lies and loss. It's been nominated for the Australian Book Industry Awards, and Wood herself is an award-winning journalist. She's a former staff writer of Fairfax Media, and she's also the victim of a toxic relationship. Reading other people's works, like Fake, is great if you're a writer, or aspiring writer, whether you're writing an autobiography, a memoir, a biography, or another life story project. We can learn so much from reading others' works. So I'm just going to give an overview to start with about the book Fake. It begins with Wood on a road trip in the countryside. She's trying to retrace her steps she took with her former boyfriend Joe to see his sheep farm. Now, she wants to find the exact location of this farm because she suspects that he didn't own it. It was a lie. She wants to double check the facts here. And it is a really interesting beginning because she then goes in to talk about how she met Joe. They got in touch through online dating, they met in person, and they started a relationship. She says, look, he was a pretty good catch. He was an ex-architect. He had a sheep farm on the side. He also had some property development dealings as well. He was divorced, had 2 school-aged children, a Sydney Harbour house, and he seemed by all accounts pretty normal. But then she's a journalist and she has this natural suspicion, and as things, niggling doubts started to collect, and the cancellations of different dates and events that Joe had planned with her, they kept happening time and time again, she started to think, who is this guy? Like, am I really just going along for the ride here? Have I just been suckered? So that's pretty much, without giving too much away, what the book is about. But there's some really interesting points which I'll touch on. The first point is that it's really a book of 2 halves. We have the first half, which is a very personal memoir about how she meets and how the relationships develops. And then the second half, Wood dedicates that to finding out about other people like her and other people like Joe, and talking to experts and finding their take on people with personality disorders like this. And we learn some really interesting things. The first is that internet dating apps and sites are overrepresented by these kind of people, and that they consistently lie, they're consistently cancelling dates or events, and that you are almost become like a character or the audience in their daily fantastical 3-act plays of drama. You get sucked along with all of this. So she says these dramas are incredibly complicated. For the average normal person, it would just seem like beyond anything someone could imagine. And she gives lots of examples, but one is about Joe and his blue boat or his blue yacht. And he shows Wood pictures of his kids on this boat, you know, so, oh, I must take you for, you know, out on the water in it. And eventually they've planned a rendezvous. He's going to come and pick her up in a picnic, and they're going to go for a sail. But of course, it gets delayed and then it gets cancelled because he's sailing along and he sees a couple on their boat or vessel and they're in distress, and one thing leads to another. They need to be towed back to shore and he's the hero to do it, and the whole event, the picnic, gets cancelled. And you just think, oh, so much effort, so much storytelling. So that was really interesting. But as writers, there's some key takeaways we can learn from Wood's writing. First of all is that she really does dig deep. She's so brave to tackle this kind of personal matter in a book. So I think we have to give her real credit for doing that. You know, she just really wants to share her story so she can help others, which I think is a really, really important thing. The second thing we can take away as readers and writers is that Wood has a fantastic way of using interview skills to get more information for her memoir, for her book. So she's interviewing the experts, she's weaving all their comments in. She's also got readers' comments and data and statistics. And a really great teaching point, if you're a writer, is how Wood weaves into her book her life lessons that she's learnt through all of this. Key ones that spring to mind are the understanding of this princess mythology of living happily ever after. She's aware of this. And also another life lesson is not to be willful blindness to something that you think is not quite right. And finally, the life lesson of being happily and single. So that was kind of the key takeaways for me. You know, it was love in a world of liars, cheats, and narcissists by, you know, a former Fairfax media staffer. So to recap, there is a little bit about the book, the interesting points, and what we can learn as readers and writers. And I really hope that if you read this book and by listening to the show, that it's motivating you, like Wood, to sort of write about some personal matter if it's going to help other people. I think that's a really important point. Now, of course, I've got all of this over at my website in an article there at foreveryoungautobiographies.com/Stephanie Wood. Find out all that I've just covered plus more, and there'll be some links to some other helpful resources and articles. And while you're at the website and while you're here, leave me a comment. What do you think of this book? What are you going to read it? Let me know, because I'd love to hear about it. And earlier I mentioned the free Structure Success training. You can sign up for that one again over at the website at foreveryoungautobiographies.com/Structure Success sign up. And I walk you through in this training some key exercises to uncover some key memories that you want to write about in your book. And when we come up with a basic book outline, so you have something to aim for and something to write towards. So make sure you sign up for that. It is completely free. Now I'll be back again really soon with a new topic. So please follow, subscribe and like the show. And until then, stay healthy everybody, and happy writing.